Yeah, I just wanted to let that breathe for a minute. Yeah, y'all are killing me in this chat. There's a couple of things that I do want to address in the chat. Y'all really are. Sundata, come up here because I'm really tired of you talking that hot shit in the chat. There was someone who was in here, Solomon, who said something about y'all got to stop being uninformed, posted a link about the Biden offer for the Victor Bout exchange back in July, like I've been mentioning for like the last 3 hours. So I don't understand what that was about anybody being loud and wrong. I don't. And then Sundata booty clap for it. So I don't understand. I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about in the chat, but it is getting really strange to me. This constant assertion, just like looking in here about, well, when you go to another country, you have to respect their laws and blah, 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 blah. Who said she wasn't? Like this, I don't know. I guess this acceptance of just like, oh, she did something wrong is really, really wild to me. Knowing everything that we know about the Russian government, of all like the times we've spoken about her being a political prisoner, all this, like, this is targeted, this is specific, like this did not happen by accident. Brittany Griner did not just fall into the laps of the Russian government, right? Like she's been going back and forth for years. She's been working there for years. She knows the law. She knows how to conduct herself. She's an international, she knows how to travel. She's been traveling for years. She's been traveling all her, like, I don't. Anyways, it's very annoying.
It's annoying to me too, because the fact of the matter is, whether she broke the law or not, in America, and my cousin from Jamaica, he got caught some years ago putting cocaine in boats and sending it over here. You know what his crime was? It was serious. But you know what America did to him? They sent his ass back to Jamaica, and he ain't been able to come back unless he sneaks back. Here, when Latino people break the law, they extradite and they send them back. They're holding her hostage. So fuck what she had. She didn't kill nobody. She didn't commit a crime against them. The crime that they're saying she committed is because of something she put in her body. What the fuck? She needs to be free, and we need to say it loud. I'm telling you, everybody out here needs to say, if you're on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, you need to just say free Brittany. If we create that momentum where everybody is saying it, that will have some effect. Even if it's not in Russia, it'll have effect here. So maybe the people we call our leaders, the people who pay for we have the largest military in the world. We're the largest and the strongest military in the world. If they want to go over there and extract Putin from the Kremlin, they could do it. They're just not courageous enough to do it because it's a black woman. If she was Eliza Fletcher, they'd have been over there by now. They found her body in 48 hours here in Memphis, but they can't solve no murders. This is about racism and political agendas, and we need to stop being a part of it. We need to demand that she's released, and we need to say it really fucking loud, and she'll be released.
I think that, one, I also think they might have an idea of where she is. There's a lot of things that they're not necessarily telling us as a public. Information is at a premium here, and we have to remember that it's just as precious as her life, and that information that is being shared with certain officials about where she is, and if they can have eyes on her, I'm sure. I will say, though, this is not going to be a matter of people getting upset. Like, as we are upset, that's not going to change the status quo. If Russian history is kind of my hobby, on the side. And there's a reason why they're always ruled by a strong man. The country is unfortunately still one of majority peasants, and they feel that Putin is the best life they've ever had in Russia. Hate him or love him, that's the best they've ever done since he's been there. It's a lot of times him being there is a lot of times where people haven't been hungry. So it's also a deal of that. He really cannot go anywhere. And I think even suggesting, like, for instance, which one of the things is Israelis are not allowed to go to Russia, but they could instantly extract somebody. Would they? No, no. That would be the that would be akin to shooting Archbishop Ferdinand going into Russia like that. And we all saw how that ended. So I implore you to think about that. I'm done.
Yeah, I just wanted to add just one quick point again, Pamela. I really do love your passion, and I respect a lot of the points that you're making, especially just standing up for Black women. But I just want to just really point out, we should not, in any circumstance, hype up American imperialism just to save, Brittany Griner and many of the other Americans who have been wrongfully detained over in Russia. And granted, like, we have to do this through a diplomatic process.
Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? Because she's a Black woman, we should. Because she's one Black woman, we shouldn't. We should just say it's just one person.
No, let me explain to you.
No, because the sun has set on our strong hand. We don't have it anymore. Just like the sun set on Britain, the sun has set on America. We don't run shit anymore.
Yeah, and the thing is that nuclear proliferation in the modern world has so many dire consequences that people are not understanding. America bullying their way into Russia and trying to demand the release of political prisoners does not only just span like negatively, that is again an escalation to war. And
so what was it when they went over there and found Saddam Hussein and Bin Laden? What was that? Was that not bullying?
It was.
It was? Okay, so but we can do it to people of color.
No, that's wrong to do. It was wrong to do then, and it's wrong to do now. Imperialism is not tenable. Imperialism is wrong. It's wrong when anybody does it. You cannot, we cannot, I must not, and will not allow for anybody to try to justify imperialism by any means. It is wrong.
I'm not speaking imperialistic. I'm speaking from self-preservation. If we don't protect the Black woman, we will be extinct. Henrietta Lacks.
No, that is not tenable, because remember, the other countries came from the global south, so America thought that they could do whatever they want. This is Russia. This is a nuclear capability type of country. You go into and do that, that's all the justification they need to literally annihilate the entire west coast of the United States. Innocent millions of people will die. And that will cause nuclear winter.
And that you just said Black women ain't already died over in this country. I don't mean no harm, but I could give no fucks about America. I really could. I really don't, because this country has abused us for many years. Y'all want to keep defending a country that is really the real terrorists. That's what y'all want to keep doing. You keep talking about diplomacy and things like that. They're not diplomatic when it comes to me, and ain't diplomatic when it comes to my family. So we have to take a stand. It's going to be a war. It's already a war. It's called spiritual warfare. We are wrestling against some real demons. And I believe with God on my side that we can get Brittany free. That's what I believe. Now, you can sit over here and be a coward if you want, but if I can get over there, I'm willing to go. I'm not going to worry about people that's sitting up here scared and talking about what might happen when we know what has already happened.
It will. Like nuclear proliferation, I don't think y'all understand something. Nuclear winter blocks out the sun. People won't eat, die, literally from the radiation fallout. And that's worth it? Listen, I get it. I really do. I understand.
Hiroshima? Anybody?
That's not tenable. If y'all think that that's just completely okay, and we're just about to just literally say fuck all to everything else, then that's just what
you
happens.
just ain't been through enough. You hadn't been through enough in your lifetime to get to that point. I've been through enough, and I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of all the people in this world that think that they're God. Putin is playing God. Biden is playing God. Kamala is playing God, but none of them are doing what we've elected them to do, which is represent us. There's no one in the United Senate, and we ain't got but 50 of them. There's no one that has made a press conference and said, we want Brittany released. Now you tell me which ones have, I'll talk to them. But until the people we've elected, that they keep telling us go vote, go vote, go vote. I went and voted. They tried to lock my ass up for it. So what I'm telling you is, until those people that we elected, that we pay taxes to, that ride on private jets and all that shit all day, make a stance for this black woman, I'm going to continue to advocate for what you call imperialism.
So I do want to say this. Pamela, I feel you. You know what? I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't know exactly what she's talking about. I do feel you. And I feel that where Pamela is coming from at this point in time is a point that I have often been, and I continue to visit at various times throughout different situations, right? It's this point where I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of trying to figure it out through like chess move politics. I'm tired of having to consider all these things, and I just want this person home. That's it. Simply that. I just want them to come back. I just want their suffering to end. That's really it. And it's really a very simple ask, right? But because it's tied to all these other things, it now gets lost in this whole thing around white politics, right? So that part of what Pamela is saying, I completely feel. Now, this other thing, right, where we're talking about this advocacy for American imperialism, now that's where I think we need to like slow down and have a conversation, right? I do feel that it's interesting, right? When America or your nation should be employing in bullying tactics for the greater good, it always seems like they've used up all their bullying tactics tokens. They've used it all up to do fuck shit to other people. They've used it all up to destabilize other people's economies. They've used it all up just to do a lot of nonsense and a lot of mess, right? So now,
you highlight which people they do it to.
Say again, Natea?
I said highlight which set of people they do it to.
Which set of people they bully?
Yes.
Oh,
people
yes.
of color.
Yes. Yes, definitely. They bully people of color, right? We've seen it done on the continent. We've seen it done in the Middle East. We've seen it done in the islands, right? Whether it be the Polynesian islands, whether it be the islands of New Zealand. We see anywhere where people of color are just mind our business, right? Living our best life. You'll now see them and they'll come and say, no, you got to do it this way. You're supposed to do it this way. You're supposed to do it that way, right? So they've now used up all their bullying tokens and their bullying tactics. And now when it comes time to actually do it for a good reason, for a good cause, it's no longer like tenable, right? Like what Kevin said, it's no longer effective. It's no longer a means by which they can rely on to get other countries to do what they want, right? And I even think about like the irony behind that. And I think it's quite frustrating, once again, when you're coming from a nation that has this kind of reputation and engages in this pattern of bullying other people into doing things, bullying other nations into doing things, whether by force or by fire. And then when it seems to like really, really matter the most, when you actually would want them to bully somebody, now it can't work. And the whole Osama bin Laden thing, like that's a problem that the United States created themselves. Right. So I always think it's interesting whenever people bring it up and we talk about it, like they had to do what they had to do that. They created that issue. Like the shit that's going on in the Middle East right now is single-handedly, directly a cause of United States imperialism. Like I don't think any other part of the world other than the continent has been meddled with more than the Middle East. Like the Middle East and Africa are like they're one, like we're 1-1. We're like we're getting there, right? And so it's interesting how the bully pulpit, right? Oh my God, a history lesson. How the bully pulpit has really become something that it's now rebounded on us, right? You now have a country doing exactly what the United States used to do to other people. Now they're doing it to us, right? And like, who was it that mentioned it? Crystal mentioned the sun has set on us being able to use our military to scare other people, right? We're past that point now in society and global politics where the United States can rest easy on our military power. And even if we do that, and we encourage that, what exactly then are we co-signing on? Right? Like, because let's be real, there's a lot of shit that the United States is currently engaged in right now. There was that whole shit that happened in Somalia not too long ago. You know, there's the shit that's happening in the Middle East with Palestinians and us constantly funding the Israeli government to do whatever defense practices, defense, whatever they feel like they need to do. There's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit that the United States government currently does have its hand in. So in as much as I do want to kind of like throw all of that away and just say, fuck all of that. I don't care. I'm not interested in the white man's politics. I don't give a fuck. You can't just do that either because everything is so intertwined. And we're having a conversation. This is the last thing I'll say, and I'll open the floor up again. We're not having a conversation about people versus the state, right? People versus the state looks very, very different than state versus the state, than people versus people. Those of us who are Black, who are queer, who are trans, who are non-binary, know exactly what people versus the state looks like, right? Those of us who come from different places, who come from these nations, these countries that have been colonized, we know exactly what people versus the state looks like, right? So I do think that it's always important for us to just be able to revisit those things. And sorry, I said that was the last thing to say, but one more thing I would say, visionary, you are really starting to annoy me. Yeah, you're really starting to like get on my nerves. That's starting to get on my very last nerve. So I encourage you to like tread lightly. I really do encourage you to tread lightly because I gave you that example of that white woman who brought actual marijuana, that ganja, that sticky stuff, that purple, that loud, 19 grams, spent 2 months, was fined $375 and was allowed to go. And you in the chat talking about, well, if she's a political prisoner, why haven't they used her yet? If she's really why haven't they used her yet? You don't think she's currently being used? She's been there for almost a year. What do you think? What do you think she's doing? She's on vacation? Like what? Anyways, the floor is open, y'all.
I think we needed that little silence so people could kind of process what we're saying. Nobody on here has lived anybody else's experiences. And I don't mean to come across as an angry Black woman because that's far from what I am. I'm the furious, ready to fight Black woman. She was arrested and detained in another country. In this country, in which she has citizenship, when people are arrested for breaking our laws, we send them back to their country. Period. That's what they do. And it can't go back no more. You have enlightened, you done made me angry telling me about a white woman that got caught with weed and it's been for 2 months. Brittany's been there how long now?
Yeah, let me get that article. Somebody dropped it in the chat for me. Let me go back and look it up so I can post it.
Yeah, I get she's been there since February. And yeah, that's the thing though. Like this, what like other people was trying to mention before, you just can't bully another superpower, not one with nuclear capabilities, because America wouldn't dare do so. They try to get rid of Gaddafi
Well, you know what? This world is coming to an end. See, I don't know what your religion is, and I really ain't gonna try to get into religion. But when you believe the way I believe, everything is a cycle in life. You live, you die. Everything else is in between the living and the dying. We are all going to die one day. That is one thing I'm for sure of. We are all going to die. Now, whether we die doing what is for the good of humankind so the rest of the people that come after us can live, that's just where I'm at in my life. I have children, and I want my children to have a better life than what I had. And if I sit around and be passive, like my parents weren't, neither one of my parents were passive. My father, he worked for Marcus Garvey. Okay? My mother, she was a civil rights activist. I would not be able to have the things that I have today if it was not for the sacrifice that was made by
Oh,
my
Miss Pamela,
parents.
you burning something in there?
No, my smoke detector, it doesn't like the stove. It just does that when it starts doing stuff. I'm sorry. But do you understand what I'm saying? Don't look at this like for today. Look at this for to now. What is going to happen for now if we just sit here and let them keep Brittany over there and no one says anything? If people would have did that when my situation, I still be in jail. I got out of jail the month Brittany was arrested. If people would have sat by and just like, oh well, just another black person, I wouldn't be talking to you. So I feel responsible to advocate. I don't know her. I don't know anything about her other than she's a basketball player, she's black, and she's gay, and she's being held in Russia. That's enough to get me mad. Okay? So you can just keep sitting around like, oh, we don't want to have a nuclear war. It's the inevitable, it's coming.
Oh
Whether
no,
we start it or not, it's coming.
no, it's not. Who said? Who told you that? I don't want to die. Nuclear proliferation can be very much avoided. I don't want to die.
We are all gonna die.
So
Stop being afraid of the inevitable.
God
I
forbid.
posted the link to the top of the room for y'all. So this is the link to the article about Audre Lorde, who was 19. And she served roughly 2 months in a Russian prison after she was found guilty of smuggling 19 grams of THC while on family vacation. She was also fined 15,000 rubles, which is equivalent to 375 American dollars.
Wow.
So there,
Where's she from again?
Staten Island.
Where?
Staten Island.
Oh, she's from New York. So she's a white woman from New York with her family. See, what you don't understand, Putin and Americans, they don't look at Brittany and her wife as a traditional family. So that's one thing that's hurting her. The fact that she's gay, they're using that against, regardless if you think it's right or wrong. I'm just being real with you. If she wasn't gay, if she was married and had children, she might would have been back by now. Married to a man and had children, she might would have been back by now. So society judges people. She's good enough to go over there and play basketball and entertain, like he's be the zoo animal or whatever you called her. But she's not good enough to be forgiven for having something in her suitcase that she forgot was there. I'm telling you, it's hypocrisy.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
And I
allegedly.
just so I do want to I was only planning on having the room open for a couple of hours, but the conversation kind of, took a life of its own, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that so many people came to join us to talk about what's going on with Brittany Griner. And I just, I'm going to continue to, as I have the capacity to make those spaces for us to discuss updates, for us to discuss just what is like really going on. What are the ways that we can help? How can we assist? As of right now, like I said, I don't know where she is. Crystal says, that maybe the United States government might have some semblance knowledge of where she is and they're just not saying anything. That's very possible. But as of right now, I don't know where she is as of right now. I know her wife don't know where she is as of right now. I know her lawyers don't know where she is. So nobody know where she is. So in my personal opinion, Brittany Griner's been missing since November 4th. We talked about, the penal system in Russia. There's reports that I've read out, articles that I've read about the possibility of her being sent to one of the higher security colonies, which look a lot different and are a lot stricter than the lower security settler colonies, penal colonies that we've been reading about for the past several months since we heard about the possibility of her being sent there. We've talked about the rhetoric that a lot of people are just spewing behind her case, the grifting, right? We've also had this really much needed conversation about foreign policy, about the ways in which all of that plays a factor and a role in just how her whole situation is panning out. I know a lot of us are very concerned about Brittany Griner's well-being. I know a lot of us are very much interested in what can we do to help. And I know a lot of us right now feel really helpless, and feel like there's not much we can do. But I do think that as time goes on and as developments happen, just simply using your platform like I'm doing, bringing her up in conversations, right? When you go talk to your local politicians, bringing up that, foreign policy is something that's on your mind, that you as a Black person, as a Black voter, you're interested in foreign policy and what it is that our government is actually doing outside of the country that then can come back to affect us, either when we leave the country, even before we leave the country, right? Because there's a lot of shit that our government in general has done. I remember during COVID when we were having like this whole issue with food, there was a reason why we couldn't get certain food from certain places, right? That's all foreign policy. So I wanted to kind of go around. I do want to start taking closing comments because for me, there's only so long that I can spend talking about Brittany Griner's situation publicly. There's only so much of it that I have capacity for, and I think today I've pretty much reached my capacity. So I do want to go around and take closing comments from anybody. If you all want to say any last thoughts, sentiments on the situation, please feel free.
I just want to say I will be praying for her each day for her safe return, and that I will continue to be angry until she's returned. And I will continue to talk about it with everybody. I talk about it with my dentist. I talk about it with white people mainly. That's how I was successful in getting the district attorney thrown out of government here in Memphis. I continue to talk to the enemies about what they were doing. She murdered my dog. I told people that love dogs that we need to talk to anybody that has a financial interest in Russia or China because they're cousins. And we need to continue to advocate for her. Free Brittany.
Asia, Kevin, Crystal, Justice, did y'all want to say any closing thoughts?
Again, Brittany, we are so grateful for you. And yeah, we want Brittany to come home.
My last words are just free Brittany Griner, but F American imperialism, and we got to find a way to bring her home fast.
Well, I will say, Brittany, thank you for the room. I hope it gave a lot of people some good information and everybody stepped away with something. And everybody keep your eyes open. This is not only an attack in the public, but it is a social media attack. Be careful of what you read. Everything that you read is not true. Double check on those things. Find some sources that also corroborate that because there's a lot of misinformation out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Justice, did you want to say any closing comments?
When we when we're going to do a strategic plan, let me know. I don't have the energy for people like Vision and people talking about drug, marijuana, talking about she didn't support the anthem, whatever. Fuck that shit. I'm here for collective liberation. Let me know where I can exert my very limited energy to help with anybody's collective liberation. Don't let these people go off in the chat like that. We can't organize with that kind of talk going on. So just let me know, okay? Thank you. I do want to thank you, Benami. I do want to thank you, Asia. I want to thank everybody who contributed to talking about what actions can we take that will end with Brittany Griner's freedom. So thank you. And anybody else talking trash, get the fuck out. Shut up. We don't need to hear your nonsense. Like, seriously, I am here for our collective liberation. Stop getting in the way. Sit down, shut up, and let us do what we need to do to make sure that we are no longer oppressed and victimized and punished for nonsense, racist ass laws. Like, stop already. Like, please get better moderation. Kick people out as soon as they start talking mess about nonsense, because that's ridiculous. Okay. I just want to thank you all. And I do want to contribute if I can contribute, but it's very, very difficult to do anything strategic when you allow people to go off in the comments with nonsense. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Justice. Today it was just me and Asia moderating. And it was really just me moderating because Asia's just really a guest here. You know, I want her to sit back, chill, relax, not have to touch nothing, not have to lift a finger, just enjoy the conversation. So I wasn't really in the chat as much as I would have liked to be. So I do apologize for that. I know there was a lot of fuckery that was going on. There was a lot of things that were being said that was very just egregious. And I do want to apologize for that. And I also do want to say that part of the reason why I opened up the room too was because those were the types of things that I was seeing. And to a certain extent, like I want there to be the ability for people who I'm in community with. I really want y'all to see the shit that I'm talking about. Like, I want y'all to see it firsthand. Like, I want you to be able to say, yeah, no, I saw that shit. Like, that was some fuckery. That was some fuck shit, right? And because sometimes it's almost like, sometimes it's almost unbelievable, right? Like some of the things that I hear other folks who are Black, other folks who, you know, are in the Black community saying as it pertains to Brittany Griner, as it pertains to her being criminalized in this manner. And I just, it's one of those things sometimes where you really got to be there. There's no way for me to explain. You really do got to be there. But I really do apologize if anybody was offended or if anybody was triggered or, you know, anything like that. I'm definitely going to be doing a better job going forward of staying in the chat. Sometimes I personally block shit out and I just scroll away, but I need to make sure I'm doing a better job of just, you know, honing in on those people, especially when we're having conversations like this, because I really don't want anybody to, you know, feel like, you know, the space is tainted or feel like they can't participate because some dunce, as Natea would say, is in the chat being a butthead. So thank you for that feedback, Justice. I really do appreciate it. And the last thing I do want to say before I close out the space is just, you know, I didn't say this earlier because I, you know, whatever, but I have a really strong politic against or around nuclear proliferation. I have a really strong opinion and politic around the use of nuclear weapons. And it's not something that I can ever get behind. It's not something that I can ever champion. It's not something that I can ever encourage. I actually believe like nuclear weapons should be completely abolished. Like nobody should have nuclear weapons. There's no need. It's not necessary. It really is not. So that is my stance on nuclear proliferation. I just wanted to make that very clear. before I go into another space right now, and or later, and they say that, oh, you know, nuclear weapon proliferation. She didn't say nothing. I have a very strong politic around nuclear proliferation. Like, it's a no for me, dog. So with that being said, I'm going to release everybody to these Clubhouse streets. Thank you so much for joining the space. As more updates come up, as I have more capacity, I will definitely open more spaces. Hopefully on the weekends. It seems to be a really good time on Sundays for folks. So, you know, trying to get some type of consistency, some type of like stream schedule in our club. And for our house. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. So yeah, I'm gonna close the room now. I really like it when Dominica does a countdown, so I'm gonna do that too because it's very peaceful. So I'm gonna close the room in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.